one of the youngest survivors of the Holocaust. I was born in Slovakia. There was a regime there which supported the Nazis and was essentially fighting on the side of the Nazis. For a child my age, I was born in 37, so the war started 39. I was very young. The war really came to me in 1944, but the war to the jury came in 1942 when the Slovaks started to deport Jews into Auschwitz. But for me as a child, I didn't know about it, obviously. I lived a reasonably regular life, with the exception that I knew that there are certain streets I shouldn't go through, because the children will throw stones at me and call me dirty Jew, and I didn't understand why, but that was part of life, so I didn't go through those streets. In 1944, when the Nazis invaded, it was clear to my father, who was very well known in the community. He was part of the Jewish underground connected to the anti-Nazi forces. It was clear to him that if we meaning his family and he, are caught together, they will be summarily executed. So he sent his wife and his two children, me included, away from the city, and he fled independently. We were caught in a massacre in a mountain pass called Stare Hory, and my mother and my sister were killed. I was wounded. I remained in Slovakia for 1 year. My father died a year after the war. Let me just note that after the war, there was an epidemic of marriages. Everybody wanted to rebuild their life. And he was stuck with a young child. He was very active. The community many times left Slovakia. So he remarried. And he swore his wife on his deathbed to take me out of that bloody continent. That were his words. And take me to Israel. That's what she did.
How long did you live in Israel for?
I lived in Israel essentially till 1975, from 1947. In 1975, I got an invitation to join a university here for 3 years. And from 1975 till today, 3 years. I'm still here.
When you speak to people, when you give presentations, what's the biggest thing that you want people to take away from it?
The biggest thing I want to take away from it is that the Holocaust was not unique. The Holocaust was unique in its extent. In Slovakia there were 70,000 Jews, 3,000 survived. Do the math.
Would you say it's essential for people to really take a stand against that today when they recognize it
Yes.
in the world?
But the first thing is, as you correctly said, recognize it. Sometimes things stare in your face. You don't recognize them because you don't want to recognize them, because recognizing them will force you to take an action which you don't like to take. But again, I'm fond of saying, when you stand on the shoulders of giants, you see for a long distance. So let me stand on the shoulder of a giant. One of our presidents, which I consider one of our most beloved presidents, President Kennedy, he was quoted to say, "The hottest places in hell are reserved for those which in time of need kept their neutrality." It's so easy to keep neutral. It's difficult to take action. So even people who recognize it say, it's not that bad, let's not take action. Everything will be okay. It's not. And by the time you recognize it's not okay, it's too late.
If there was one question that you've ever been asked by a student in a presentation, which one made the most impact on you?
It's like asking which of your 3 children you love most. And the answer is all of them. I think some of the most difficult questions to answer, but most important is how it affected you. What did you learn? What are the future teachings that you want to take in? And mainly how it affected you in your life, in your own decisions. I know I have an excessive sense of need for security.
how did what you went through change the way that you lived the rest of your life?
If you would ask me 20 years ago, I would not be able to answer it. The best one to answer is not me, but for example my wife, because she had to live with it without knowing where it came from. First, why 20 years? Because I didn't think about it. We didn't talk about the Holocaust, Until 1990 it did not exist. Point number two, when I started to talk about it, I didn't talk about it personally. We were all affected. I was affected very early, now that I look back. I decided very early that I will devote my life to the safety of my people. And very early in my career I decided that I would work for the Israeli Ministry of Defense, which I did. So I devoted my best time of my life to the safety of my people. That is clear result of the Holocaust. It affected me by being overly cautious, overly hesitant. I have a file on my computer. In the middle of the computer there's a folder open in case of my death, which has all these things to keep my family safe. That's a clear outcome of what happened.
Thank you so much
You're very
for
welcome.
sharing your experience. תודה רבה.
בבקשה.